Hi everyone, it's Tracy here from Art Fiber Stitch. We're now at part 3 of this interesting project we've got happening, where we're taking this really nice light khaki or avocado kind of colour linen top, and we're making a nice personalised piece of wearable art. So, if you've been following along, we're now at the stage of joining it onto our background, onto our shirt. What I'm showing you here is this is linen, and it has a very strong up and down weave, this one, and what I'm doing is fraying the edges. It's a good way too to see whether you've done it straight or not. Now you can see here this panel we've made previously, so I've overlocked the edge. I'm just ironing it now to make sure it's nice and flat, and then overlocking that edge will make it easier for me to turn under. So that's what I'm going to do next. I've decided I'm going to turn that edge under and sew it onto the shirt like that. But I want a nice straight edge if I can. And I haven't been too precise here. I didn't measure it before I overlocked it, but I'm going to remedy that now. Can you see I'm turning it under, and I'm just by eye at the moment. I'm just trying to press it, and sometimes I don't want to stretch it, so I lift it and press again. Go and lift it and go down a little bit and try it again. Now if I push too hard, it might stretch it out. I don't want to do that. Now, how do I tell if I am straight? Well, I'm thinking I'm going to use this straight edge here of this mat that I have. This mat is compacted felt, and it's very easy to pop on your tabletop and turn your table into an ironing board, especially when you just wanted to do something like this. But I thought, well, why don't I use that straight edge to help me picture it and try and get this turned over straight. So there it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with that edge. But what I've also noticed is, see that doesn't seem right, but also that linen has that strong weave in it where it'll tell us if it's straight or not just by the thread. So I would say always look at the grain of these fabrics. You know, that'll tell you what's straight and what's not. Alright, it's just being a little bit tricky. Pull that edge down to make it straight. You can get your measure out to be precise, and when it's ready, pop a pin in. See how it's really good? You can just shove a pin in. I'm just getting out a plastic placemat at the moment, and I'm wanting it to put it between the two layers, and I'm doing that because I'm going to be pinning, and later I'll be stitching. And the thing is, I don't want to stitch through both sides, you know. I don't want to sandwich it all together. So that'll hold it separate for us. And we'll start placing things on it and seeing again where we might want it. And when I try something, I'll place a pin. Now I really like these frayed edges on these linens. I'm liking that look a lot. I like that it gives you that texture. But I'm wanting this one with the turned under neat edge. So how are we going to put it on? I'm looking at the grain now of that top. The fabric has that grain, and I can see what is straight on this top by just looking at where those threads are in that weave and matching this to the grain. And as I said, it helps you when you're wanting to cut straight or placement. So I'm trying these things in different places again. I do like the berries. I think they tell a great story. But how are we going to attach them? That is the question. Now I could spray, you know, you can use what do you call it, adhesive spray just for fabric, which will place it there and hold it long enough for you to stitch it. But I've actually decided here that I think I'll use some fusible web, and it is paper backed. And what happens is you can, I'm just measuring now because I know that that piece that I have, I want it to be slightly less, so I'm just doing a strip. And the panel, I'm going to place this on it and I'm going to glue it down. This has a paper side and it has a glue side, a glue webbing. So what we do is we cut it out so that it's slightly smaller, and when we're happy, then we will grab our mat again, our ironing mat. I think it's picking up a little bit of the fluff off it because it's brand new. Maybe I'll put a cloth or something down. This is an ironing mat. No glue will stick to it, so it's a really good thing to have, especially when you're applicating, which is basically what we're doing. So see how I've put it glue side down on the back of our panel, and that means paper side is up and I'm free to iron. Now I can get very lazy here and try and be too quick, but really it is best to be thorough and give it a proper very good ironing so that it melts the glue. And then it's really good to leave it long enough to cool, and then you can peel that paper backing off much more easily if you do it properly the first time. But I'm needing a little bit more ironing, and then I'm definitely going to give it a good enough chance to cool down. So pretty thorough. So once it is cool, I can pull off that paper back and I've got a nice gluey side, which isn't going to glue down to the top until I want it to, and that'll be when I hit it with the iron again. So I've got plenty of time here to get it right. I can pin it, I can just follow that grain, but whatever I do, I'm going to be needing this iron mat, and I really don't need that underneath it, not at this stage, that placemat. So I'm just making sure I've got it where I want, and like I said, using that grain to make sure it's straight, folding that edge under, making sure the linen is nice and flat itself. And then once I'm very happy, out comes the iron again, and that's what I'll use to glue it down to the linen. Now, this is done quite a lot in applique. You might have appliqued in the past, but I thought it would be good, good solid way to keep it down. Now the edge isn't glued. We went in from the edge, didn't we? I'll just show you again here with these small pieces that we're going to add, because I've decided I'm going to use the fusible webbing here too. So I'm just, you can see through it, and I'm just going inside of that frayed edge, marking it with a pencil so that I can cut it out a little bit more accurately. And then I'll place it glue side down. There we go, on it. Make sure I have it inside the line of that frayed edge, and then I will iron that. Whilst I'm at it, I'm going to iron quite a few pieces. I'll iron it well, and then I'll let it cool. I won't be too impatient this time. In the meantime, I've done all these others. So they've been ironed on thoroughly, and I'm now removing the paper back. And this is how simple it should be. See? Done. And I can iron that precisely where I want it, and it will stay there whilst I stitch it onto our top, our thrift store top. It's going to be beautiful. Don't you love the idea of making your own wearable art? So I'm getting all of these ready to go, and we'll do our final placement and then we'll start to stitch them on. So we've got our main one. We've decided where it is. It's not in the center, it's off to one side. And here's that piece there that we did in green. I like it. That's going to go there. So I might as well iron it on straight away. I know where I want it. I've used the grain of the fabric to make sure it's nice and straight. And I'm giving it a thorough iron to make sure that works. There. It's now glued to the top. I'm going to move my top over now and see what I can put on this side. Something here. I'm going to stagger it a bit though. I'm going to go a bit higher than the other one. I don't want everything to be in a line, you see. That one will go on too. And that's a great start. Now you could tack if you wanted to. You could pin. Yeah, there's so many different ways you can do this. I just thought that this would be a nice, neat way to make sure it's going to stay where we want it. I'm still deciding, do I want that overlapped? You know, I'm thinking when I do stitch, I might use the sewing machine. I mean, you don't have to, or perhaps you don't have one. Perhaps you can just use your nice slow stitching. Some embroidery, some easy running stitch, some blanket stitch like is traditional with applique. Lots of things. You know, I can spend a lot of time fluffing about like this, deciding where I would like it, how I like it balanced. It's a individual thing, I think, as to where you like it. That will be where it needs to be, where you like it. So that's why I'm fussing around a little bit, getting it the way I want it. And other areas where it overlaps. See here? I did that on purpose. I'm overlapping some so that, and here's another one, where I can just go up the one line and I will get two pieces on. I'll show you. You know, but as I'm looking at it, I decide I need one more piece. I'm going to use some of this special material again, and I've found another bird that'll just fit in nicely. Can you see that we're telling a story? We have two birds now, the head of one and also that whole one there on the left. And I like the balance. I like that it's meandering up. There's a bit of a story to tell. Now I've gone over to the sewing machine. I've made sure I'm only sewing through one layer of top, and I'm just doing an ordinary stitch all the way down, just inside the edge of where it's starting to fray. When I get to a corner, I'll put the needle into the fabric so that it doesn't move, lift up the foot, turn, and continue to the next corner. But what about this story? Can you see our birds and all of these blueberries? Perhaps that's the story. That little fellow in there, hidden in amongst the blueberries, and that one there, thinking about it. Now I've sewn on two of the larger pieces, the big panel and our new large square that's the bird. And I think in the next and final part, we'll do some embroidery and really join these together. Make this story flow and make this shirt our own little masterpiece of wearable art. So I hope you're getting inspired to try it yourself. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time for the final part in this series.